Liquid fertilizer is a great tool to take your lawn from good to great. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm using, how I'm using it, mixing rates, all that kind of thing. So let's get into it. Yes, g'day and welcome to a new video, and also welcome to another gloomy, crappy Victorian day. We're not having a very good spring at all. 10th of November today as I record this, and yeah, we're just really struggling for some nice temperatures and some nice sunny days. We're getting stuck into liquid fertilizers today, but before we do, we'll have a look around out here because it is almost 4 weeks since I finished scalping and scarifying out here, which means it's almost 3 weeks since I top dressed, and we have, getting these triples burnt in really nicely. I'm gonna be making this pattern a bit fancier later in the week. Coverage wise, I reckon we're sitting sort of 90 plus in most areas. I don't really have any spots which are still quite sandy and struggling to come in. Quite uniform across the entire thing. Generally this half of the yard grows just a little bit better than that half of the yard in any case, but yeah, overall the recovery is going really nicely. But to get some liquid fert on here today is going to be great to just kick it into that next gear. And so the liquid fertilizer I'll be using today and the products I use on my lawn all the time is the Lawn Tips range. Very fortunate to be supplied those products by Ben at Lawn Tips. It's really good stuff. I'm pretty sure it's about 4 or so months now since he released his very own Lawn Tips branded stuff, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Going really well. So the liquid fertilizer I'll be using today is the Lawn Tips mix, but the information in this video will cover whatever brand of product you want to use. To my knowledge, a lot of companies do have a kind of liquid fertilizer blend that they recommend. It's a very good way to get good bang for buck with your applications by getting multiple things out at once, because whether you are on a golf course or you're a busy mum or dad, efficiency of getting multiple products out at once, super handy way to go about it. And now if you buy and use the Lawn Tips mix, you know with full confidence that those products are going to mix together perfectly fine, so you don't need to worry about this step. But if you are using another brand and you can't find that information or whatever it may be, maybe you're finishing off using one brand and you're switching to another one, so you want to use up what's left and combine it into the new stuff, you want to be able to do, or you want to do a jar test. So what that involves is getting a container of some sort, put a little bit of water in there because you're going to be diluting the products in water, so a little bit of water, and then just go through and add the products one by one. So you got your water, add a little bit of that, add a little bit of that, add a little bit of that, and all you're looking for is abnormal reaction. If it clumps up or if it really bubbles up and goes weird, just something that doesn't basically mix all together beautifully and have still a nice consistent liquid that's going to be able to come through your sprayer. You also want to tick the box of compatibility as to whether it's a foliar application or one that you can water in. So for example, if you were doing say seaweed and wetting agent, both absolutely fine to water in straight away, and in fact the wetter does need to be watered in pretty much straight away within 4 hours generally, and that seaweed fine to go in straight away. Whereas if you were doing, and you wanted to do iron and wetter, this wetter needs to be watered in straight away. The iron wants to dry on the leaf to be absorbed by the leaf. So these two together automatically, even if they mix together nicely, you wouldn't put them together. And so then once the box of compatibility is ticked, we can start mixing. Starting to get some nice sunny breaks coming through. How good's that? Now I am using my walk behind sprayer today, but this applies to whether you're using a little 2 litre pressure sprayer thing for a small lawn or your backpack sprayer, whatever you've got. I've just got this walk behind sprayer today, which I do often get questions about, and it is a DIY build, this one. I had a Sparky mate help me with the wiring. I had Sylvan help me out with bits and pieces with the boom and whatnot. Handle, pretty rickety old thing I built out of timber and bolts and things like that, but it does the job. Now, no matter what I'm mixing up and spraying, always like to get my gloves on. And then in terms of mixing, we want to get our water in there first. And after that, it's just a matter of mixing in each product one by one. Now you can do this straight into the sprayer, and that's what I typically do, but something that Brenton from the Aussie Lawn does is that he likes to mix everything into a bucket, give it a nice stir, blend it all in there, and then tip it into the sprayer. So I'm gonna do that today. So in there goes product number 1. Now in terms of mixing rates, the rate for the liquid Lawn Tips mix is 200 to 400 mils per 100 square meters of lawn. So I'm sticking right in the middle of that range at 300. A little bit lighter on the iron because I have a lot of natural iron in my soil. So if I ever over apply, it goes a bit black. So measuring that out nicely. And then the other thing is your sprayer calibration. So I know that I need about 21 liters total volume inside this sprayer. So in total, I'll be using about 4 liters of product, so 17 or so liters of water. So I've already put in 6 in there, 5 in the bucket, ready to go last. And always give them a good shake. So I do have, I think, a couple of videos on sprayer calibration, so you can go and check those out if you like. But yeah, getting that mixed up in there. Another thing I always have to mention is do not mix up and spray your products while you are on the grass. Do it on a hard surface somewhere. I'm just doing it for a nice aesthetic spot to spray. Sorry, to mix and record. Almost 3 years living here. So far, no mishaps. But knowing me, it's probably not far away. And now this will be all mixed up, ready to go and walk across the lawn, 2 directions, getting nice, even coverage. Now you'll notice there while spraying I had on some pants and some boots. Now similar to what I talked about before with the gloves, it's just I feel best practice when you're spraying chemicals on your lawn. Generally, I don't want to speak for all products and whatever, but fertilizers generally in comparison to herbicides, a lot safer to sort of be around, but they are still obviously chemicals. Could be a big discussion about, you know, the chemicals that are in fast food, or if you smoke or drink or whatever else, what's in that, and you're actually eating that. But anyway, for me, just best practice. A few other key points we're going to finish on here, important points. One of them is spray conditions. So today, just every now and again, we're getting a few little, you know, there's a light breeze around, but every now and again, it's just a little bit stronger. So just then there was a time, I was behind the camera actually, but at that point in time, a decent amount of wind came through for 10 or 15 seconds. Right now you can see maybe the trees are just moving a tiny bit. So yeah, within reason and depending what kind of product you're spraying, you might have a little bit of a light breeze. It's just not viable, especially you think of contractors and stuff like that. Sometimes, even if it's not optimal spray conditions, you've just got to get it done. And maybe you take some additional PPE steps on those days. And then how do you know when your lawn needs fertilizer and how often am I using it? I'm going to use this blend of liquids around about every 5 weeks, all year round. A way to know whether your lawn is needing some fertilizer is that the color is the biggest thing that will start to change, and you might get more of a lime green rather than that deep dark nice green. For me here, I put out Dominate granular fertilizer, and yeah, I'm just noticing at this stage that Fert's been out about 3 weeks and it's more of a controlled release sort of fertilizer, and probably in the last week I haven't been getting as much kick, I think, in the lawn. Now temperatures have been terrible, heaps and heaps of rain. I'll put out my rain table updated from last video because yeah, we've been getting pumped with rain, which has been really annoying. And one of the great things about liquid fertilizers is that they are absorbed quickly and you can see a turnaround from them and some results really quickly. So I've got my wife's 30th here on Saturday, Saturday night. So you're only gonna be able to really see out here for the first hour and a half. But just to really enhance things, kick in some nutrients and just get that last little bit. You know, I just don't want to linger at this last kind of between 90% and 100% recovered for too long. Just want to kick it into gear. So for me as well, then it's just consistency. Even, you know, for me, I want to keep this lawn at a really high standard. So I don't want to get to 7, 8, 9 weeks and go, oh, now the lawn's hungry and you've kind of got to play catch up. Consistently on a schedule, so that you can maintain whatever level you might want to achieve. And I do have another video about liquid fertilizers and how you can use them. So some different ideas, like maybe if you've got a blend of 3 products, just use 2 of them every 6 weeks and rotate them through. Things like that, ideas for how you can incorporate liquid fertilizers without having to have the cost of using a full rate every 5 weeks, and maybe stretching them out a bit more. A little bit less results, but still great results to step up from a granular only fertilizer program. Now, what you need to do with your products, like I've talked about and touched on in bits and pieces, is understand the label and read the label. Does the products you're applying need to be watered in straight away? Whatever it may be. These Lawn Tips mix products, when they are all combined together, something Ben talks about with this mix is to water them in when it's outside of that kind of 4 to 6 hours, generally the next day. So spray, for me, it's kind of midday, lunchtime actually. And so typically I would water in, just set an irrigation cycle for the next morning at 6 or 7 a.m. We're actually due for some rain tonight. The app says it's coming in at about 7 o'clock. So that is, 7 hours away. So that is completely fine, especially for the iron to sit on the leaf long enough. Happy with that, and that goes for all products really. Know whether you need to water them in, because often products that need watering in, if you don't do it, you're not getting effectiveness from the product, but you also, with fertilizers and wetting agents, could get some burn and yellowing and die off. So I'm gonna make these triples a little bit fancier later in the week, and that's probably the last thing actually in terms of mowing. Don't come out and mow a couple of hours after your liquid application. Most liquids fine to go out straight after you mow. Check the label again with that one, and I would typically avoid mowing the next day just to give it a good amount of time to settle in, be absorbed, blah blah blah. My next mow is going to be in 2 days time, and then again on party day, because what else would my wife want for help with setting up for the party and for me to come out for an hour or 2 and burn in a nice pattern on the lawn. So that will be what's coming up for me here and now. When I next record out here, might be next week, might be a couple of weeks, but we should be seeing some pretty strong recovery. Looking forward to burning a nice pattern. In terms of liquid ferts, hopefully that is helpful no matter what brand you are using. And yeah, that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Cheers.